High Definition, brought to you by Fort Wayne Toyota, Southwest in the 1469 Auto Mall.
The verdict is in for the suspect in the Boston Marathon bombing. Plus, Paisley protest. Vera Bradley shoppers are greeted by frustrated union workers.
Strong storms in Indiana right now. I'll tell you what that means for us tonight and tomorrow in the Pinpoint Viper HD forecast.
Guilty on all counts. Good evening, I'm Melissa Long. That was the verdict for Boston Marathon bombing suspect Dzhokhar Tsarnaev this afternoon. It took the jury just over 11 hours of deliberations to reach the verdict. Tsarnaev faced 30 counts, 17 of which carry the possibility of the death penalty. The bombing at the finish line of the Boston Marathon April 15th of 2013 killed 3 people and injured more than 260. Multiple runners from Indiana took part in that race. Back home, 35-year-old Ricky Williford of Garrett is facing criminal charges for his connection to a bombing incident that happened last October. On October 14th, police say an explosion was reported in the 400 block of West Ensley Avenue in Auburn. Investigators say it was later determined the explosion, which shattered windows of a nearby building, was caused by a bomb planted in a pickup truck. Allen County's prosecutor has a bone to pick with the Department of Corrections over the surprise early prison release of a stalker who intimidated and terrorized an ex-girlfriend. Jeff Newmeyer spoke today with Karen Richards about the case of offender Michael McClellan. He's set to get out tomorrow, and that's 2 years early, correct?
It is correct, Melissa, and Richards thinks that's a miscarriage of justice that warrants changes to make sure it doesn't happen again. Dawn Hillier found out Monday that McClellan would be a free man by Thursday, a shock because she was told before he wouldn't get out until February 2017. He earned a degree in prison, cutting 2 years off his sentence. Karen Richards says her office learned of the change when parole officials called to talk about conditions of his release. With many serious crimes in Indiana, a minimum of 45 days warning to the victim is mandatory, but stalking isn't one of those crimes.
Which seems to me to be ludicrous, because that's one of the crimes that frankly you ought to be getting a lot of notice of, because it's dangerous. It is specific to that particular victim, not just a victim at random, but that particular person.
Any response from the Department of Correction?
Yeah, a spokesperson from the DOC told me today it seems like an oversight, and that getting state legislators to fix that in the statute shouldn't be a big problem.
A bigger criticism from Richards, though, is how McClellan earned that early release.
Yeah, she says prison time credit for earning a degree behind bars for someone like McClellan, who was well-trained, tech-savvy, seems to be a distortion of the intent of the law. DOC says, don't look at us, we're simply following our marching orders from lawmakers, so they're the ones who created this. Take it up with them.
Yeah, they've got a lot to be concerned with in the Department of Corrections, for sure. Thank you, Jeff.
Yep.
Well, days after the Final Four brought thousands to Indiana amidst extreme backlash over the new RFRA law, the state's Attorney General is making his voice heard over the reputation of the Hoosier State. Attorney General Greg Zoeller is addressing the media after an editorial he wrote that appeared in newspapers across the state. His message is that the people of Indiana should agree that discrimination is wrong.
Well, I have to represent the legislators, so it's really not my job to criticize the way they have gone about this. I will defend the people of our state, and I have to defend the statutes that are passed, so I'm not really in a great position to criticize. But I do think that, you know, people should feel confident that we have federal constitutional rights. Nothing a state legislature does can weaken those federal constitutional rights.
Zoeller is also asking Americans to stop directing their outrage at the people of Indiana. The Superior Essex Fine Wire plant in Kendallville is closing. All 52 employees were told today the facility will be closing in the future. As for the Fort Wayne and Columbia City plants, they will be staying open for business for now.